All right. Good evening, brothers and sisters. This is your founder and host of KYP Alejandro Ibrahim coming to you with another round of conscious news and information. Today I have a guest with me, Ruhama Bekele, if I'm correct, my brother.
Yeah,
He currently attend what university again, brother?
Colby.
Yeah, Colby University.
Yeah.
Full scholarship. Brother went out there and got the job done. So we are proud with him. I attended high school with this brother. And today we're going to be talking about the division tactics used to divide people of the black diaspora, black people around the world. As I said, KYP is not just exclusively to America, it's to the whole black world. So, again, we want to talk about that. So, first of all, I would like to ask you, brother, where did this division all start from? It can't just happen out the blue. Like, how did this start? Did it start with the Berlin Conference? Did it start with the slave trade? Like, where did it really start?
Um, you can't really put like a time or place where it started. I think it was manifested by the Conference, but I believe that like it started way before then too, though. Um, yeah, and I like the video that you made, the way we have been manipulated.
Mhm.
I've watched it twice now.
Yeah.
Uh, so I've been trying to expand on that, trying to think of like other ways that white people have used to like subjugate and oppress minorities and especially black people. And yeah, I don't think you can like for sure say like what time or what day or what year even um, that oppression started.
That's true. That's true because we've been in this for a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, do you do you think that colonization really put a stain on Africa? I mean, I believe it did, but do you think though in the sense that we won't ever be able to come out of it? Because you look at Africa today, France, they practically own a lot of former colonies because they pay colonial tax.
Yeah, they
You
still
got
pay
yeah,
that.
you got I mean you got the Chinese now. The Chinese are literally coming in and infiltrating African societies. Nigeria, uh, I think it was Zambia and Zimbabwe. They said Zambia is literally owned by the Chinese now. They own the country. So number one, which is, do you think colonization had a serious effect, and how are we gonna repel these threats, especially by the Chinese of today and their presence within Africa?
I think that like we should really look at our history. Um, I think there's a lot of historical similarities between like all regions that have been oppressed or colonized. There have been divisions on the basis of I would say like five main divisions. The one really important one is ethnicity. It plays a really huge part in separating the population to make it easier to colonize. Um, an example of this would be even in Ethiopia, the Italians used lies and false rumors to create like a sense of distrust between the ethnic tribes, um, and that's the biggest difference between 1890 and 1936. The two wars fought between Italy and Ethiopia. In 1890, the Ethiopians were all united against the same cause under Menelik. But in 1936, the Italians started this rumor where um, they said that the Amaras poisoned the Oromos, and somehow they believed that, and they kind of fought against each other, and they made the Italians a lot easier to beat the Ethiopians. Um, so it's kind of like those those we have to we have to look at history in terms of the divisions and like the basis of those divisions. Um,
Mhm.
another division was skin color that you mentioned and the way we've been manipulated.
Yeah.
Like the dark skins versus the light skins. I know this is a very big problem in a lot of
Mhm.
countries around the world, especially India with the caste system, which was also created by the British. Um, so it's a lot easier to control a people if they're not united. Uh, another form of division is occupation. Um, and they did this with the Hutus and the Tutsis in Rwanda. And another is eugenics, or the belief that one race is biologically superior to another. This was done in the Holocaust, which is the most famous genocide. But I would say, I'm not okay. I'm not gonna say that because that might make me seem like anti-Semitic. But
Well,
a lot of people,
they was doing that. The Germans was doing that stuff in Namibia,
yeah,
way before.
that's what I was about
Yeah,
to say.
way before
Nobody
that
knows about
happened.
the Herero genocide.
Oh yeah, nobody knows anything about that. They locked them up in cages. They were pumping stuff. The Germans went to Togo and was spreading, I think it was hepatitis. So they did all that. So what happened to the Jewish community, we understand was a great wrong that was done to
Injustice,
them.
yeah.
But it was done to black people historically
Before,
way before. You understand? And that's where some people might start calling me, "Oh, how you being anti-Semitic?" I'm not. I'm just being real though. That's where you can tell that the power lies within the people. The Jewish people are some of the biggest financiers in the world. They're
yeah,
able to get that story out there. But for us, people today, as I speak, are just now learning about the Herero massacre, the things they done to them there, and other things that they have done experiments on African people due to the lack of caring about African people on a worldwide scale.
yeah, for sure. I mean, the Herero genocide literally sets the foundations for the Holocaust. I mean, there are
Yeah.
so many similarities between the Holocaust and the Herero genocide. Um, like a lot of the policies that have been implemented in the Holocaust were actually in Africa before by the Germans. Um,
Mhm.
it's like the idea of concentration camps was actually created in Namibia against the Herero and the Nama. They used concentration camps way before they even thought of the Holocaust.
Let them know.
Um, they created race laws, which was very prevalent in the Holocaust, but it was utilized a lot more in the Herero genocide. Uh, there's a and this is the most important German philosophy. It's called Weltanschauung. Um, it's the belief that Germans are superior to non-Germans, and this is what created the rise of fascism. And this was seen way before in Namibia. And yeah, so and there's another word called Vernichtungskrieg, which is the annihilation of an ethnic minority. Another
Mhm.
similarity in the Holocaust and the Herero. Um, but uh, I mean, Africa has been oppressed by Germans a lot. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, like a lot.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and this idea of eugenics, um, it really contributed to the Holocaust, but also to the Herero genocide because not a lot of people know this, but the Germans actually said like getting rid of the Africans was for public health
Mm.
reasons. They were calling them like dirty and like disease filled and stuff like that. So they kind of they're justifying the genocide. So I think it's very important to study the Herero genocide because it sets the foundation for um, every other genocide. It's the
Yeah.
first 20th century genocide, and it's not well known.
Yeah. And then today, pertaining to the people of your nationality, there are Ethiopian Jews who have now gone to the land that they claim to be their rightful land, which it is because I do believe we are the true Jewish people, have gone to Israel now. And in Israel,
They're sterilized.
they have sterilized our
Yeah,
black women, which is kind of it's disheartening because those same people who founded that nation, which historically was stolen from the original Palestinians, now are treating people are now oppressing people when they were formerly oppressed.
yeah. No, the oppressed becomes the oppressor. I mean,
Exactly.
yeah,
It's
it's really
crazy.
sad.
And
That's
what's weird is that as African people, we've never done that. In South
yeah,
Africa till today, we white people still control the economy. They still own 85% of the land in South Africa here till today.
yeah,
Even though we have the power. You go to Namibia, the whites own Namibia now. They still have economic power in Namibia. You go to Africa on the whole, whites are still on top. But you never see these black nations ever oppress whites or any other minority. And I know some will say Idi Amin, but Idi Amin, he saw that the East Indians were making more money, were making money off the backs of his native people. So that's why he got upset and he tried to exile them. You understand? But it's funny now how everybody had a global oppression against black people. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah,
Um,
and the problem is that we're so separated by like so many things,
yeah,
like occupation. You wouldn't think that occupation would separate us, but it really did. Like the Germans in Rwanda, a lot of people. I don't know if a lot of people like understand that the Germans were the first to colonize Rwanda before the
hmm
Belgians, but they socially engineered uh, the differences between the Hutus and the Tutsis. They were
yeah,
the sole reason for the Rwanda genocide because they again they use eugenics to kind of prove that the Tutsis were superior to the Hutus, which created animosity
mhm,
between the two. And they gave the better jobs to the Tutsis, and they socially elevated the Tutsis' role in society over the Hutus, and this created a separation between the two, which they're completely the same. They're the same people,
yeah,
but they've socially divided the Hutus and Tutsis, which made it a lot easier. Because in every colonial country, um, there has to be a conspiring class, which means there has to be a a class that conspires with the oppressor. Without a class that
mhm,
conspires with the oppressor, there is no oppression. You
mhm,
cannot gain a foothold in a country if no one lets you. So the Germans kind of treated the Tutsis better than the Hutus, which
mhm,
the Tutsis in exchange kind of gave Rwanda to the Germans. And it
mhm,
wasn't until World War One where the Germans lost. Um, the Hutus took over with the Belgians because the Belgians went on the Hutu side, and that's what created the Rwandan genocide. And something so trivial like occupation, like made a huge role in the Rwandan
mhm,
genocide. And
mhm. Because
we have to understand that no matter what type of black we are, we're all the same people. And I think
yeah,
that's one big takeaway from Rwanda.
yeah, because if I'm correct, Dr. Amos Wilson once said there cannot be white domination without black participation.
Yeah,
If you look
yeah,
at
for sure,
every place they've colonized, they've always
for
had a
sure.
black class willing to help. When you look at African colonization, a lot of people don't understand, and they don't want to admit this, but Africans were helping topple other African empires in order to do it because you have groups like in Ghana, present day Ghana, the Fante, they made a treaty getting protection, I think, from the British, and with that, the British used the Fante to defeat the Ashanti Empire. So you have many instances where Africans were being pitted against other Africans. You look at Nigeria, they were pitting everybody against the North at times or against the South or other parts of Africa to like get what they wanted because they used divide and conquer. That's why Nigeria has a lot of ethnic problems somewhat today. Or you look at when they defeated the if I'm correct, when they defeated Shaka, no, not Shaka Zulu, he was dead by then, but when they defeated the Zulus at the time, they used other Africans to oppress other Africans. So it's very interesting because the British would make treaties with different tribes, but also use them to turn on each other, which is very
That's
interesting.
that's exactly what happened in Palestine.
Yes, exactly.
It's exactly like word for word what happened to Palestine. The British made an agreement with the Jews and the Arabs, and then they pitted them against each other to gain control of the Mandate of Palestine. I mean, the 1956 Suez crisis, it
Mhm.
was created by the French and the British. They basically told the Israelis to march down to Egypt and to start a fight with Egypt, so the British and the French can gain control of the Sinai. And
Mhm.
I mean, it's sad that they can keep getting away with this, and we don't learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, we
Um,
don't. We don't. Which is another thing. Religion is also a big problem. That's
that's
why,
what I was going to talk about too.
yeah, that's why Pan Africanism to me, it's cultural. For me, Pan Africanism is culture. I ain't got nothing to do with religion because whether you are a Hebrew Israelite, I always tell 5% nation, Nation of Islam, Christian, whatever, black people have all had a hand in it. When you look it up historically, we've all had a hand in it. We've all had a hand in it. So religion is another thing they also use. You say you're going to speak on that, so I'm gonna let you speak.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm trying to get my book.
Yeah, take your time, brother.
Um, this book right here, I mean, I love this book. Like I finished it a few days ago and I love it. It's called Black Theology and Black Power by James H. Cone.
Hmm.
And it talks about how Christianity was used to oppress black people and to keep them docile like slaves, right? And I mean, and this book kind of like kind of redefines Christianity, and it defines Christianity in modern day terms. It relates Christianity with Black power and Black liberation, because slave masters used to use it to keep blacks as slaves. But a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people say that the Bible can be used to enslave people, which
Hmm.
it could, but you're seeing it from the white perspective. You know, you're
True.
seeing it with white context. You're not seeing it through the black people's eyes, because when the black slaves started to read and they started to read the Bible, they found liberation within it. And this uh, James Cone, he really, I mean, this is a really good book. He goes into how Christianity is black power, and Jesus Christ is not only physically black but ideologically black,
Yes.
um, because Jesus is with the oppressed, and the oppressed people are black people. So
Most definitely.
ideologically and physically, Jesus was black. Um, and he goes into how black churches, black churches pre the war, they were a really good source of finding motivation and inspiring black people into fighting for their freedom. And like there's a orator, his name is George Lawrence. He talks about
Hmm.
how uh, love and social love should be embraced, and loving yourself and loving others, or loving other black people, is important into finding who you are and to uniting against the oppressor. And
Hmm.
freedom can only come from the love of freedom can only come from social love. um, and Christianity has a big part in loving yourself and others.
Yes.
But James Cone kind of says that you can't love your neighbor, which is the white man, if you don't love yourself first. And to love yourself is to remove what white people think about you and the white structure.
Hmm.
And you have to love your blackness before you can understand white people, I guess.
That's the biggest problem because a lot of us we love white people out of fear because we're afraid of them. But there's something called I heard a saying when it said, "Come to fear no man, but get to know him." A lot of people don't really know the white man. They don't know the oppressor. We think we do, but we really don't. In the sense that we come open arms, but we don't really understand the global role they've played in building empires, taking over stuff. That's why a lot of people got to do their research and history on the essence of the oppressor. And another thing is that Nat Turner's rebellion, the Stoner rebellion. Those were Christian slaves who rose up through the teachings of their Bible, of their holy book, to fight oppression. So when people say, "Oh, religion not got this," the problem is the way religion is taught. It's not the religion itself. I can teach you to be docile under Christianity, and I can teach you to also be strong under
Yeah,
Christianity.
of course.
I can teach you to be docile under Islam. I can teach you to be strong under Islam. When they did the revolt, the Bahia revolt or the Malay revolt in Brazil, they believed that the people that they were fighting were infidels, and they were committing a holy war against infidels as slaves because they believed they were holy people. So that's why they were trying to overthrow the whites because they understood that they couldn't do that. I think Duty Bookman, he was a Muslim, and he also did African spiritual systems as well. And he also believed that, the God that he served was stronger than that of the oppressors because the oppressors' God was wicked. He was evil. He was cruel, which he was because many people don't understand that European Christianity is made up.
Yeah, no,
It's not the
it's
same
very
as
different.
the actual. Yeah, it's not the same as the actual Christianity. Like, if I'm correct, you practice the Ethiopian Christianity, right?
I'm Pentecostal.
No, you Pentecostal,
Yeah.
okay. But in Ethiopian Christianity, from what I understand, they celebrate Christmas in January. They don't even celebrate in December. So a lot of people don't understand the differences between the religion and how some have been rewritten and be taken out because they had a slave Bible where they would actually take pieces out of the Bible so
Yeah,
that the slaves
the
wouldn't
entire
understand it.
Exodus book was taken out because
Yeah,
the masters did not want them to read about the Israelis' freedom from Egypt.
yeah. They didn't want black people to understand that the same story in the Bible was that of their own,
Yeah,
and that they could actually come out of that, which is funny.
yeah,
Well, I
and
want to thank you. I want to thank you for coming on, brother. I want to appreciate it for you sharing knowledge on here. Thank you very much for coming. I hope you're doing good in school. I know semester's starting back.
yeah,
It's getting rough, but
yeah.
we gonna make it. So I want to thank you.
All right, thank you for
Um,
having me.
oh, you're welcome anytime, brother. Want to come on again anytime.
All right,
But thank you for all that viewed in today. Hotep and stay safe.
all right, you too.
All right. Adios.